Hi, it's Willow with C&J Nutrition, and today I am baking a pan baby. If you follow us on Instagram, you've probably seen us posting pan babies before, and they are puffy, golden, sort of like giant popovers. They're also called Dutch babies or Dutch pancakes. My family's always called them pan babies, and I think my mom has been making these every weekend for as long as I can remember. They were always our Sunday morning breakfast that we had as a family. And I even had a few friends who would time their sleepovers at my house to make sure that they could have pan baby in the morning. I like this dish because it's delicious and it's beautiful, but it's also really easy. So it's one of those perfect brunch ideas where you can have people over and it doesn't take you much time to whip up, but it's really impressive. And the ingredients are super simple. So let's get started. So I preheated the oven to 425 and I put a 10-inch cast iron skillet in the oven to heat up. So now I'm going to take 1 cup of milk and 1 cup of flour and whisk those together. I'm using unsweetened almond milk. You can use any type of milk you want. And in terms of flour, traditionally my mom has always used whole wheat flour or a mixture of whole wheat flour and unbleached white flour. Usually she used just all whole wheat flour. Turns out great, it's just not quite as puffy. I've always used whole wheat flour too, but recently I found the Bob's Red Mill gluten-free flour blend, and that makes a really puffy pan baby. So that's what I'm gonna be using today. So I'm gonna add 1 cup of milk to my mixing bowl and 1 cup of flour. And you can use a hand mixer for this. I'm just gonna use a whisk because I'm lazy and I don't want to wash a hand mixer, and a whisk works just as well. So you just whisk these two together until there's no lumps. And at this point, there's really no worry about over mixing. So just get it smooth. It doesn't take much time. And so the next step is going to be whisking in the eggs. But before we whisk in the eggs one by one, I'm going to grab the pot or the cast iron skillet out of the oven, and I'm gonna put 2 tablespoons of butter into it and then put that back in the oven. And the butter is gonna melt in the hot pan and create just this perfect storm when we pour the batter in. So it just puffs that batter right up. So it's coated with butter so it doesn't stick. The pan is really hot and the batter goes directly into there. So I've got the flour and the milk mixed together, and I'm gonna go get the cast iron skillet. I'll bring it back out here so you guys can see the butter process, and then we'll keep going with the eggs. Okay, so the skillet's been in the oven. It's super hot, again, 425, and I'm just gonna put in my 2 tablespoons of butter, and this is going back in the oven so that butter can just get really nice and melty, and the pan stays hot. Okay, so now we're ready for our egg whisking. And we want to do the eggs one by one. So you just want to make sure that one by one they are completely mixed in. And so by the time you get to the 5th egg, there's 5 eggs, it is a perfectly smooth batter. Let's see if I can do it one-handed. Yeah, kind of. So this process is sort of the most labor-intensive of the entire thing, is whisking in the eggs, and even that doesn't take much time. So this is our 5th egg. So once that is nice and whisked in, this looks really good. It looks really smooth. So once that's nice and mixed in, I'm gonna swap out my whisk for a spatula because we wanna get all that batter out. And I'm gonna go get the hot pan again, and I'm gonna pour this into the hot pan, and then that goes straight back into the oven. Couple tips on this are that you want this to spend as much time in the oven as possible, and you don't want there to be a lot of temperature fluctuations with the pan. So you really want to make this process, this step, fast so that pan doesn't spend too much time outside of the oven. I'll be right back. So our butter is golden. It's really hot. We're gonna pour this straight in. Get every last bit out. Okay, and this goes right back into the oven. Be fast, people. So that's in the oven at 425, and we're gonna set our timer for 20 minutes. And then when our 20-minute timer goes off, turn the oven down to 350, and that's gonna bake again for another 10 to 15 minutes. You don't want to open the oven at all during this process because it can cause the pan baby to lose its puffiness. So I usually set my timer for another 15 minutes. And that's perfect. You know, you could set it for somewhere in between, another 12 minutes, and go with that. I tend to err on the side of 15, but depending on how your oven typically heats stuff, adjust accordingly. 10 to 15 minutes in that second process. Okay, so I'll see you back here once the pan baby has done 20 minutes at 425 and 15 minutes at 350. So I'm gonna go grab the pan baby, show you what it looks like right when it comes out of the oven, which is the best part, and then show you how I usually top it and just some options for ways to serve it. Be right back. Okay, so this is it. It's puffy. It's really kind of golden and crisp on the outside, and then just has that really kind of like pop over texture on the inside. And you can top it in so many different ways. This is sort of like a pancake situation or a waffle situation. Really, this is the limit. And if you're serving this for brunch, it's really fun to do a toppings bar and just let people create their own toppings. My favorite are coconut yogurt. I'll link to our recipe in the description box. Some maple syrup and some type of fruit and some type of nuts. So let's slice a piece so you can see what this looks like sliced. And because it's got the eggs in it, it does have almost, I guess, a baked pudding texture on the inside. And it takes on whatever flavors you want to put with it, because we didn't add any strong flavoring agents into the batter. So this is what a finished slice looks like. And I wonder if you can see kind of the inside of that. So the way I usually serve mine when I'm eating this is I'll do a dollop of the coconut yogurt, or maybe 2 dollops. 2 dollops of coconut yogurt, and kind of spread that out. And I love the yogurt maple syrup combination, so you don't have to use coconut yogurt. You can use any type of yogurt, but it's really a great flavor combination with the maple syrup. And then I usually sprinkle on some type of fruit. Pears, apples, blueberries are really good too. So I add those. A sprinkle of some type of nuts. Today I thought I would do kind of like a banana bread flavor, so it's banana and pecans, but hemp seeds are awesome too, and I love doing like a blueberry hemp seed topping too. And then with the fruit on there, you don't need too much maple syrup, but I like to add a little bit just to kind of meld all the flavors together, and then you can kind of sop up the toppings that fell off with the extra pan baby that you have. So I usually just do kind of like a small drizzle of the maple syrup. It's so good. It's light and fluffy, but also just feels like a really warm, homemade, hearty breakfast too. And again, the toppings are just fun. It's fun to change up your toppings, even if you have a pan baby every week, like I did when I was a kid. Each week can be different because you can use whatever fruit is in season, whatever toppings you have on hand. I hope that you make this. The recipe is printed in the description box as well. And I would love to see your pictures of your finished pan babies or your topped pan babies on Instagram. This is Willow with C&J Nutrition, and I'll see you next time. Bye.